Well, hello to my SOC 230 criminology students for the fall 2025 semester. So here we are for the week of October 27th. We are talking about life course theory and some important principles of the life course. Now, keep in mind that life course means more than the duration of a person's existence. Rather, life course refers to an interrelated set, of social roles and responsibilities that are considered to be fundamentally separate and different from one another, as opposed to a life. The sequence of events and experiences is really what makes up a life. Life course, the different stages that we go through in life as we transition from one phase to the next. Now, disruptions in life's major transitions can be destructive and ultimately can promote criminality. People are influenced by different factors as they mature. And as people mature, the factors that influence their behavior change. So the fact the factors that produce crime and delinquency at one point in their life cycle may not be relevant at another. So you see, think about this. Criminal careers are said to be developmental, as life course is one of the branches of developmental criminology. Criminal careers are said to be developmental. How so? Because people are constantly being influenced by the behavior of those around them, and then they in turn influence other people's behaviors. Now, problem behavior syndrome, one of the major life course theories. Crime is among a group of interrelated antisocial behaviors that cluster together, typically involve family dysfunction, sexual and physical abuse, substance abuse, smoking, early pregnancy, educational underachievement, suicide attempts, sensation seeking, and unemployment. Here they are listed according to category: social, personal, and environmental. These problem behaviors are what developmental criminologists refer to as quote unquote at-risk factors. And the more of these at-risk factors that are present in someone's life, the greater the likelihood that they will turn to criminal behavior. Now, age of onset. The seeds of a criminal career are planted early in life. So the early onset of deviance strongly predicts later and more serious criminality. The earlier the onset of crime, the longer its duration. The more frequent, varied, and sustained is the criminal career. Now, do you think early onset is the cause of later criminal behavior, or do you think both are caused by another factor? So it's important to recognize early behaviors in children, such as early signs of aggression, social withdrawal, things like that, okay, because they can help predict later behavior, particularly when talking about crime. Now, gender and desistance, males. Early onset of antisocial behavior leads to later problems at work. Involvement in substance abuse, early aggression in boys is exhibited as continued physical violence and delinquency during adolescence. Now, when it comes to females, early antisocial behavior leads to relationship problems, depression, a tendency to commit suicide, poor health in adulthood. Why are antisocial behaviors exhibited differently in males and females? Is it because of society's expectations, how males and females are raised? For those of us who have children, how are we when it comes to raising our boys as opposed to raising our girls? And so certainly it's very interesting thought there. Um, okay, and then we're actually going to just look at here Sampson and Laub's age graded theory. So if there are various pathways to crime and delinquency, are there trails back to conformity? So It was actually their age-graded theory. And again, as one gets older, the tendency to commit crime tends to decrease. Okay. And, if you look at structural background factors, okay, social control process, look at family, look at school, very important agents of socialization. Okay. For juveniles, it can lead to delinquency. Okay. Adults, okay, delinquency, you see, leads to crime and deviance. Okay. Remember the elements that make up one's social bond: attachment, commitment, involvement, and belief. Okay. Well, yeah, Travis Hershey, causes of delinquency. And you see, it's important to, keep those bonds strong. When the ties that bind one to society become broken or weakened, the individual is free to deviate from the norms of society. Now, social capital: positive relations with individuals and institutions that are life sustaining. Social capital is very important because, particularly the lack thereof, can influence the trajectory of a criminal career. If you could think of good examples of social capital that you have in your life, okay, well, then it kind of helps you to stay away from trouble, okay, and to not deviate from the norms of society. Now, I like this last slide here, particularly where it says the marriage factor, okay? People who maintain a successful marriage and become parents are the most likely to mature out of crime. Why do you think marriage is so important? Remember the concept of stake in conformity? Marriage and children tend to increase one's stake in conformity. Remember, stake in conformity refers to things that we already possess, as well as what we hope to reasonably gain in the future. The things that we have going for us, yes, a nice family, a nice spouse, good children, a good job. Okay. Think about it. Okay. Single people are more likely to be victims of crime and are more likely to commit crime. Okay. Single people tend to stay out late. Okay. Tend to congregate in places that are conducive to crime and deviance. Whereas marriage factor, okay, well, we get old, right? We tend to stay in more. We tend to go to bed early, and right, we tend to just worry more about our children because they become the most important things to us, okay, and keeps us from, thinking about crime. All right, so let me know if you have any questions about anything, and I hope everything is going well for you. As you can see, I'm still trying to get better. So I'll post whatever else needs to be posted. I think we're good. You have third reflection paper due this week about the possible legalization of prostitution in New York State. That's reflection paper number 3, due the 29th. Your quiz will be available next week of November 3rd. There's a practice quiz and a little review sheet, and there'll be a video review of your quiz posted by early next week as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to view this, and please let me know if you have any questions about anything, and I will see you soon. Thank you.